Hi, Sebastian. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today and share with us your Violflame experience. Could you maybe introduce yourself a little bit so my audience gets to know you?
Thanks, Simon, for the invitation. It's honor to me to be here in this interview and to share my experiences with your audience. Well, my name is Sebastian Castro. I am from Colombia, South America. And I've been working for many years as a flight attendant in an airline. So I used to fly back and forth to many countries, to Europe, and meeting many different cultures and people. But in the past months, I've been working as a web developer. I really love computers and those technology things. So I'm focused myself on working on that.
It
Yeah.
sounds very interesting and very diverse, actually.
Yeah.
For our South American viewers, where exactly in Colombia are you located at?
In Medellin. Medellin is a really nice city with a wonderful weather. So
Nice. Yeah, I can imagine. Lots of sunshine.
yeah, so I ask everybody to come and visit. It's really, really interesting city.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So could you share with us how you actually learned about the Violflame, how you got to know it?
Well, I found the Violflame like 18 years ago. I was unemployed at the time and passing a lot of difficulties. So I went to a library and I bought a little book called How to Work with Angels from Elizabeth Clare Prophet. It's a little book. And in that book, they mentioned the Violflame, that is the cosmic eraser. So if you use it, that's going to be helpful for you and to help you with the difficulties. So I just gave it a try and started using it. Um, I didn't get the best job. I got a job like 1 month later, but I think it's a process. The more you use the Violflame along the time, the better it's gonna get. So it was term of using it daily, about 10, 15 minutes, sometimes more. So I start getting some good results in terms of getting a better job, feeling better with my emotions, relationships with my family, things like that. It's pretty interesting. I always ask people just to give it a try and use it to see results.
Did you find it a little bit odd when you read about it in the beginning? Because there are people that read about the Violflame or hear about it and just think, I can't see it in the beginning. At least most people can feel it or even have a sense of it, and it's just like, how can a Violflame that I can't even see, that doesn't like physically exist in this world, change anything in my life? So did you have any doubts or any thoughts like this, or did you just say,
Oh
I believe it
yeah,
and I just, do it?
yeah, totally. At the beginning, it was doubting. It's hard to believe that you're not able to see it, but I wanted to give it a try because of the testimonials from some friends. So uh, I don't see the Violflame. I never see it before. So I just start feeling much better, and I start I start seeing changes in my life. So that's why I think is powerful. At the beginning, I didn't know how to use it. I just repeated the mantras over and over. So I think that there was an issue because the instructions are pretty clear that for better results, you have to visualize, like in your mind, you're trying to put in your mind a Violflame that is burning yourself or burning whatever situation you have in your plans. So after some times I started visualizing, and it was pretty interesting because the more you visualize the decrease, and the better results you get.
What I find very interesting is going back again to the beginning, because many of my viewers are just starting to use the Vial-Flame and are in the beginning phase. You basically just relied on other people's experiences, what they told you, the testimonies you mentioned, and you just tried it and you saw an effect in your life. You saw an impact, having an impact on your life, a positive impact, obviously. So that is very cool. You said you used the mantras. Is there a specific mantra you used? Can you remember in the beginning?
The very simple one: I am not being a Bailefar, I am the purity God desires.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of other decrees that you can use.
Very simple but effective.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really effective. I can promise that it works. If you put all your heart, if you visualize it. But it's pretty important to know that Vial-Flame works if you are going to act correctly, if you're going to do right things. Because if you use it for wrong things, or the Vial-Flame is not going to work.
Yeah, God or the Ascended Masters aren't fools, right?
Yeah.
Some people might think that, but absolutely not.
So there's a lot of things that you need to control: criticism, other things regarding behavior towards human beings.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just always about trying your best and progressing on the path.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Being a good person, that helps.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about the positive impact the Vial-Flame had on your life, could you give us some specific examples?
Specific examples in terms of in my life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure. And the job changes, the emotions, which is really important. We live in a world under stress, where family are struggling to survive. So after using these mantras for long term, I could feel that everything was smooth and better for environment to live. So that's the most important thing to me. And health issues got better, mostly with your mind, because you feel like your brain start working much faster, you get more ideas in order to create in your job, whatever you are working on. So it's pretty interesting.
I've also experienced that. If you need like a solution to an issue you have no idea about, or you just want some creativity, the Vial-Flame is the best tool ever, because you just start using it and you start getting all these ideas, these creative ideas, how to solve something or do something.
Yeah, you are completely right, because I remember like 1 or 2 months ago, I was working on a project to develop a website, and there were so many technical issues, didn't want to work. So I was really, really concerned. I didn't know what to do, because we are humans. So I just started thinking, no, I'm not going to get this done soon. So in the middle of my desperate situation, I just start doing my mantras, the Vial-Flame mantras, over and over for 2 hours. And all of the sudden, I just got all these ideas, do this and do that, ideas in my mind. So I could fix it in 10 minutes. So bioflame makes a difference. It's really awesome.
It's like a blockage got removed and your creative, flow just got reestablished again.
Yeah, that's right. And the bioflame heals, so heals the brain cells, heals your whole body. It's not only for external situation, it's for your inner self too.
Do you feel physically a difference?
Oh, sure. You feel lighter. You feel like, no, it's something that you gotta experience. Just try it, and but do it over and over with all your faith, and you'll see differences.
You mentioned before that when you were transitioning from one to another job, that was already like when you started using the Vialflame. So did the Vialflame help you also in finding the right job for you? Because you said you were a flight attendant and then you switched basically to website development, which is a big switch. Those are two very different fields. So did the Vialflame somehow support you in that process?
Yeah, all the time. But it's a process, God has plans that we don't know. We just think what's better, but whatever prayer you make when you use the decree word, the Bioflame decrees, you just have to adjust it according to God's will. And it took some time to switch it, but it was real. So thanks to the decree work.
Did you also use the Vialflame already when you had some personal issues in relationships with, family, friends, whatever it is?
Oh, sure. Yeah. For example, I remember to have difficult situations with passengers in the plane. So when I had this situation, I went to the back side of the plane and started doing my decrees with the Bioflame. And all of a sudden, these passengers just come down and everything was fine all of a sudden.
So you used the Vialflame right in the situation, and it basically
yeah. For example, if you are in a line in the bank waiting to to get to be attended, you just start silently doing your decree, and all of a sudden the line starts moving. So it's things like that. When you sense that there is a difficult situation, just put the Bioflame and everything is going to start moving for some reason.
That is very cool that you mentioned it, because it's a very practical tool also. As you just said, when you're standing in line and, you want to get over it already, but there's like 10 people before you, you just start, giving the decrees or mantras, and it starts moving, it starts flowing.
Yeah, Bioflame is useful for everything. It's not only for big projects in your life. It's useful for small details, like waiting in the bank, or maybe going to the doctor, and you want that the doctor to be an accurate, inspection. So you just double check with your Bioflame, and everything is going to be much better.
Or even getting appointments.
Yeah.
Yep. Or getting, like, for example, like one example that I have is like a short while ago, I booked a hotel for a short trip and they basically canceled on me, but I had to make already a prepayment. So I paid 50% of the price already. And they just, they took forever to just give me the money back, to reimburse me. And I used the Vialflame really a lot on them, because I was like, I want my money back. And it dissolves so much quicker. Like simple situations like these they're not like, super, super heavy problems in our lives, but they are, big enough that they annoy you, that you just want to have them solved.
Yeah, it is true. So don't feel discouraged if you feel that the bioflame is not working for some situations. Just think yourself what could be wrong during the process. If it's not working, that's probably because it's God's plan, God's will. So you gotta wait a while, keep doing your decree work, and just see what happens.
Right, and we just spoke recently about that sometimes it's just karma that has to descend, right?
No, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Sometimes it's just the process of, the karmic situations. You need to learn a lesson. You need to feel. But the violet flame helps not to be so painful.
And sometimes we think it doesn't help because the situation doesn't seem to change. But actually, the situation then is, at a bearable level instead of at a very bad level. But we just don't know. We don't know that it usually, if we didn't use the violet flame, it would be way, way worse. But we just don't know. So we think, it's not working.
Yeah, we are not aware how difficult the situation could be.
Yes.
Because nothing happens, because I don't see great things. You never know what's behind. Just keep your prayers, and yeah. So it's a matter of living the present, not worrying for the future, and then keep doing the violet flame decrease all the time.
Do you have a daily violet flame ritual?
Yes, I do. I spend about at least 10-15 minutes, could be more, but I try to keep a rhythm. So because you never know, it's like a bank account. It's good to have some violet flame savings.
Right. And some people might not know this, but there are days where more karma has to descend, and there are other days where less karma descends, or maybe even none. I don't know. But on those days where you invoke the violet flame a lot, and let's say there is not much karma that you could transmute for that day, it goes to kind of a bank account, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the spiritual bank account, and your higher Christ self manages that bank account. So it knows exactly when karma has to descend. And there might be another day where you just have, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to invoke the violet flame, but some heavy karma might descend. But because you have something in that bank account, your higher Christ self just, basically uses that violet flame savings
Yeah,
to transmit that karma that would otherwise descend.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's why it's much better to keep doing the decrease, so you can get good savings. You never know.
Exactly. Do you use them at a specific time during the day?
Well, it's much better to use them in the morning, but whatever time is okay. The thing here is just do it.
And why would you say it's better to use it in the morning?
Because the karma descends at 5 a.m. every day. So, well, I'm not asking you to do it at 5 a.m. because, but the better, the earlier the better. I don't know. There's some other reasons that I cannot remember, but it's more practical early in the morning.
I think it's also because it gives you a good head start. I mean, yes, that you transmute the karma, that's very important. But it's also, since it makes you feel good and energized, it just gives you a good head start into your day.
Yeah, and you have all the energy available. You just woke up, rested. So it makes a difference. Because if you do it at night, you're going to be tired. You could fall asleep and not doing it. So it's much better to have the violet flame schedule in the morning.
And you said in the beginning you preferred or started with the mantra. Are you still using the mantra, or are you using more decrees now?
Now, this moment I use more decrees.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's good to to do the decree with, with some YouTube videos, because that energy that is in the video with other people comes with you, so it gets stronger, the decree work.
That is a very interesting comment, because then you can actually also learn the rhythm of a decree.
Yeah.
There are certainly many decrees on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of decrees in YouTube, and with different rhythms, with more people. So you get better results with that. And the videos has images like visualizations. So it's not just repeating empty words. The most important is to put in your mind the picture of what you want to change, and visualize that you are burning with violet flame the situation. So it's a work repeating the decree and visualizing at the same time. That's a good tip for better results.
And I think it's normal in the beginning. Visualization is for many people very difficult, especially because they don't know the text, the lyrics of the decree.
Yeah.
So I guess, all of us started at one point, and we just, learned how to decree first and then started visualizing as well.
Yeah, at the beginning is a little bit complex, because you don't know the lyrics, you don't know the words. So it's just a matter of time. Start reading the decree, and if you start learning the words, just start visualizing and go by memory.
Yes, exactly, because something you do over and over again, just you memorize it.
It's a matter of practicing and practicing.
Like everything in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you also know other people who use the violet flame?
Yes, I do. I have many friends that use it for a better life.
And they are as happy with the results as you are.
Oh yes, they are. It's impossible not to be happy with this wonderful gift from heaven.
I think that's also something nice, because I believe, at least in the beginning, again, many people feel like, they are the only people in the world that use the violet flame. And that's like, I didn't know anybody in the beginning who used the violet flame. I just started. And then, the further you go and the more time you spend on giving it, you get to know other people. You kind of attract other people into your life. And then all of a sudden you have these many people that do the same thing as you. They know the violet flame, they use it every day, etc. It's very wonderful.
It's like a magnet. It's like a magnet. And because you change your vibration, you change your energy, so you start attracting the similar people like you, which is good.
Yeah, and can be very helpful also in just, sharing experiences.
Yeah, sharing experiences, and getting a different community. So it becomes pretty interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is there would you like to share anything with my audience, especially also the people that just got started with the violet flame? Do you have any tips or anything you would like to say to them?
Well, my tip is just give it a try, at least for 30 days or maybe 2 months. Spend 10-15 minutes in your room, in any special area you wanna set for this decree work. So just be persistent and give it a try, and you'll see the results. Don't forget to visualize the violet flame. Use the YouTube videos, and I'm pretty sure everything is going to be different in your life.
That is a beautiful forecast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your thoughts, and everything you've learned about the violet flame. I really appreciate it, and all the best to you.
Thanks, Simone. I'm so happy to be in this interview. I hope many people is going to join to the Violet Flame campaign.
I hope so too. Thanks so much, Sebastian.
Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thanks, you too.